All right, so we are back, people. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. It's another wonderful edition of our Give It, Get It Biz series, and I'm excited to be on today because marketing is one of my favorite things to talk about, and that's what we're definitely going to be doing today. And so I have somebody super awesome on today, and let me tell you, the thing that I love is I love a good look. I mean, if it's a face, if it's a logo, if it's a website. I mean, I just love a good look. And I always love when people are coordinated with their brands too. So let me tell you, I'm going to turn the music down so we could get all the way into it. So we did our Black Leaders Luncheon. And that Black Leaders Luncheon was in February. And this lovely young lady came through. She had on this bright pink blazer. And I was like, oh, okay. But then let me tell you something. So she was giving like a good 80s kind of, I don't know, this hairdo she had going on. It was like a good 80s fluff kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So we chit-chatted. And then I found out that she had this wonderful company, Milk and Cookies, right? And first of all, the name. But it wasn't just the name, all right? So I'm hoping she has her business cards with her so she can show you today. But if she doesn't, this way it'll give her enough chance to get a business card. Because she showed me the business card and I was like, first of all, I totally, completely love this brand. And I'm like, yes, let's do the things. So I'm going to bring her on in a second, but let me explain to you what we're going to be doing today. So we do this Give It, Get It business series at least once a month. And this is our webinar series that's designed so that this way it brings clarity and actionable insights to business owners. Now, we also focus on our business service organizations who are serving business owners who may need some of these tips and tricks and tools, and also these resource partners that we bring out. So Patrice Adams is one of our members of the Give It, Get It business membership. And one of the things that we do is we want to highlight our members. I know I see, and I'm just going to tell you this. So this is like an aside, but it still goes with it. I've seen a lot of organizations, a lot of merchants associations, chambers of commerce, affiliate organizations, affinity organizations, all of that. And it's like, sometimes I think maybe they just don't highlight the people that really make their organizations great. So when we started Give It, Get It business membership, we decided that that was one of the things we were going to do, because oftentimes people just don't know about people. And that's one of the things that we focus on is where you can get money from, but also the marketing to make your business more visible. So our theme today is marketing that makes you money. And I believe that she's going to give us some great insights. So I'm glad that you're here. Make sure that you leave any questions and comments inside of the questions and comments space, because we are live. And if you are watching it on a replay later on, then guess what? You can still leave questions and comments. Hopefully we'll be able to go back and check it. But if you just join the membership at giveitgetit.biz, then that will help you. But if you're also looking for additional classes from us, you can go to giveittothepeople.com/classes, because that's open to everybody. And so then you'll be able to find all of the good things that we have going on there. But without further ado, oh my God, where is Tammy at? Okay, we just went on a little trip. Tammy is over there. I'm gonna have to go get her because she will have an attitude if she doesn't get on. So I'll go get Tammy in a little bit, but I'm gonna add on Miss Patrice. Dun, 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 dun. Hey girl, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, so first of all, you cut your hair, did you not, or did you twist it?
Yes, I cut it. I went back, so I was still relaxed when I
Okay.
first met you. So yes, I went back natural. Been natural before. So
Okay. Well, I love that. I love that.
thank
Oh, and then we
you.
have another Patrice that's on too. Hey, Patrice McRaven. Okay. So good day. She said, great day, everybody. All right. But I love this too. I love this too. Like, I love a good look. That's what I'm saying. And see, we got the
Thank you.
coordination and things going on.
Yes.
So what I want you to do is I want you to give them a little bit about your background and why you even started a marketing company in the first place.
Okay. So I've been doing design for over 20 years in the corporate space. So I help start companies from 6 people to 150 people and build their AUM to millions of dollars through design and creative. So what I really wanted to do for myself was to be able to work more with people one-on-one. So a lot of times in the corporate space, you get into scaling and like the creative kind of takes a back seat.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy working more with small to medium sized businesses that maybe don't have like the ad agency budget, but
Mhm.
still, they love what they're trying to do. They want to get it out there and they need the creative that's going to speak to them so that they stand out in their marketplace
Mhm.
and really be able to showcase who they are. So, but I've been doing this for a really long time. So I'm just excited to be able to work with more people one on one.
Yeah, and I mean, so basically, what I heard was you're not new to this, you're true to this, right? So,
That's right.
what do you see is the big difference aside from budget?
Mhm.
With the big corporations that have that big budget, they can spend, they can do what they want to do, and as opposed to the small business owner, like, do you have more convincing to do? Is there more love for it? Is there a different strategy? Like, can you give us some of those differences?
I feel like a lot of times with smaller businesses, like the passion is still there. Like, of course, you want to make the money, right? But you also want to stay. I think in smaller businesses, they want to stay more true to who they are. And they
Mhm.
don't want to really like, give that up just to turn a buck. So I think that's really important. And as we know, like brand image is everything. Your image is everything. And I think that a lot of the difference too is when you get more on the corporate side, it's so much about the short term gain, um,
Mhm.
that you end up forgetting about how you're affecting your brand health in the long term. So a lot of times with small business, like they know, of course, that the short term is good, but for they want to be in business for a long time. They want to make it past that startup phase, right? So
Mhm.
they're really like more invested in what is really going to showcase who I am so that I get my footprint out there in the world and I get that longevity.
Now, what do you see? Because I mean, when I'm thinking about that, the showcase who I am part. Now, for me, I love to do that. Okay,
Mhm.
I love it. All right,
Mhm.
give me a picture, honey. Give me a little video. I love to do that because I feel like that is a big part of the brand. But when I
Mhm.
changed over from lady business to doing give it to the people, then we brought my husband into it. And
Mhm.
he has become a part of the brand. Now he's still not going to take a million pictures every day, but when it's time for him to do his thing, he's going to get on, he's going to, do what he has to do.
Yep.
And I don't think that honestly he understood how important the face of the brand is and just kind of being out there and showing that authenticity. And
Mhm.
when I would show him, I'm like, okay, so yeah, it's great when I do it, but then when I post pictures with us and we're together and you got the color coordination, all the rest of that, people are gravitating to that, and then it's
Right.
really important. So what do you say to people who are like, oh no, I don't want my face out there, like I don't want to be seen? Because I mean, there is that side of it too, so you can
Mhm.
showcase it without you being the forefront. But the people who do want to be a little bit more out there themselves, how do you kind of pull that out of them in order for them to be able to showcase that through their branding?
So I believe it's all about where you're comfortable at digging into. Because for me, brand is about the story of who you are, right? Like, so you don't want to do things in a way that is uncomfortable for you. So what you really want to be able to tap into is not looking at what everybody else does and how they do it, right?
Mhm.
Like, or even so, what I even do for my own self and my own marketing is I'll look at things that are trending or popular or things like that. But then you have to take it back. And where is the story connected with who I am and how I like to showcase myself or the words that I have to say or the story I'm trying to tell? And then you remix that in a way that is true to you. So I think it's really just about, I mean, I know authenticity is such an overused word right now, but it's really about finding who you are and how you want to tell the story in a way that makes you comfortable because people are buying you, right? Like they're buying who you are because I mean, okay, like there's a million different shoe companies, right?
Yes.
But each one of them has their lane, and the difference of Nike is more towards, the sports of popular sports, and
Yeah.
Adidas is more towards soccer, and Reebok is whatever. So it's like each one of those have picked where they want to be in that lane, and they showcase it a completely different way. So even as a designer and a creative director, you can give me the same set of words. I could design it a million different ways, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what changes is me knowing your story and finding out how I should visually tell your story.
And you know what? That's an important factor because a lot of times people, they don't know what they want to say, and they don't know how to formulate that into something that will then translate into, well, you should pay attention to me, and then once you pay attention to me, you should give me money, right? Like
Mhm,
I've been saying,
mhm.
I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks. So just give me money. Like, I mean, I'm going to give you. Let me just give you a budget. Just give me money. Like that's my thing because I do believe words are powerful. So
Mhm.
I've been saying, give me money, give me money, give me like that's just been my little mantra. Just keep saying it because I know that those things will happen. And then when somebody calls or they send an email or something, but in between me saying give me money and them making a decision to give me money, what they see online, what I send out in the emails are the things that then make them gravitate, that make them say, you know
Right,
what? I think I should give her money. And
right,
so when we think about that for other people, are there some hurdles that maybe they need to overcome because we're in business? So our goal is to ask for money. And even if we're in
right,
a nonprofit is a business. We
right.
can't give everything away for free. So
Mhm,
how do we
mhm.
then kind of say, okay, this is valuable. You should pay me for it. Like to get to that point, if a person said, listen, Patrice, give me 2 or 3 tips, what are some things that they need to kind of consider?
Okay, so first, I'm a big advocate of, are your visuals doing your words justice? So just like you said in there's a gap between like you asking and them deciding to buy, right? So a lot of times I talked about this in a reel I made the other week, is about how, like, a lot of times as business owners, we don't get to say our words.
Uh-huh.
So they've seen it on a flyer, on a scrolling through a feed or something like that.
Hmm.
So if you think about your visuals like your tone of voice,
Hmm.
then you will add a layer of how you should be perceived to the people watching your content. So if you think about it like this, you remember when your mom used to call your name and you knew exactly what was about to happen based on how she called your name? Because if she called
Yes.
you by your whole government, you knew you was in trouble, right? Like,
Let me get the little Tammy out for that.
so
Yes.
I think people should think about their visuals like that, is adding like that tone of voice to the words that you have put in your social media posts, on your website. Again, that goes back to, I can design something a million different ways. So that those visuals, the fonts, the colors, the style, all of that is adding flavor to how you're saying your words. And again, if we're connecting with, because branding is at the intersection of who you are and who your audience is.
Hmm.
So in that intersection, you're going to help the people make a determination, do they like you enough? Do they want to, do they need it enough? Right.
Hmm.
So it's like, I think a lot of times just people really put enough emphasis on your visuals wrapped around your words. I've seen a lot of people, like, they'll spend so much time on their words and they'll be like, oh, well, let me just go on Canva, I'll make it pretty real quick. That's not strategic.
Hmm.
You can make anything just look pretty. Okay. But is it saying what you needed to say visually? Right.
Hmm.
And then, the other thing I would say is, you know, really think about the story behind what you're trying to say,
Hmm.
because everybody is asking, for the money. Why should I give it to you?
Hmm.
Right? Like, I'm a designer, and I mean, there's a million different designers out there, but my hook is, more than a designer, I'm a creative director. So
Hmm.
I'm helping you visually tell a story. I'm not just putting a layer of pretty on top like icing a cake. So,
Hmm.
you want your story to be told correctly, you come to a creative director. You go to a chef to figure out what you need to make for your restaurant. The line cooks just put it together like the chef said. So
Mm.
that's the difference there. So you think like on a 30,000-foot view about the cohesiveness. This is the next point, the cohesiveness behind everything that you actually do. So just like you said, there's a million different touch points, right? If I see you on social media looking one way, and then I see your website looking like some different way, and then I see a flyer out in the wild looking some other way. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused. What
Mm-hmm.
are you trying to tell me? So you
Mm-hmm.
really want to be cohesive in that. And then, so the next thing
Look, I'm here. I'm typing in all the little gems that you're dropping right here. Yep.
and so the next thing is like I'm an advocate of like people don't always have the money to work with a brand designer up front. You
Mm-hmm.
just getting started, right? Like, so nothing is wrong with going to Canva and doing what you got to do in the meantime. But when you get to a certain point, remember that every touch point people are remembering you at. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get to a certain point, you do want to work with somebody that's going to allow you to tell the story the way you need it told. Because think about when you think about rebranding and redoing things, okay, now you have to get back in people's minds because it takes so long for people to remember you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
do what you need to do in the beginning, but don't forget that you're you're staying in people's minds. So you want to stay in them the way you want to stay in there. So
Mm-hmm.
work with someone to really be able to tell your story the way you want so that you don't have to end up trying to start over.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the things that you touched on specifically was the cohesiveness. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know if she's watching or not, but I have a friend who just was like, "Let me go ahead and make sure that my LinkedIn matches XYZ," and so she spent a lot of time on that. Now, I'm going to touch on that portion because I do believe in cohesiveness for sure, and I think that for me, what happens is a lot of times you had something that you loved at one point and now you're not that person anymore. You're still that person,
Yeah.
but maybe your title has changed, or maybe you've, which you should have gained some more experience. Maybe the direction and the type of clientele that you're trying to attract is different, which means you need to be able to adapt to the changes that either you want to make or
Mhm.
maybe even that technology or society is making you make. So let
Mhm.
me just give you an example. So one of the biggest things that we've always prided ourselves on is focusing on women-owned businesses, minority, black-owned businesses. That's always been our thing. So then,
Mhm.
when the language changed, then we changed it to BIPOC businesses, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so just kind of doing that. Now, because of this administration that we have now, those things are looked down upon and
Mhm.
could and or have hindered some people from literally giving us money. So when we're saying we're doing our Black Biz Summit, which is on August 1st in Durham, North
Yeah.
Carolina, go to blackbizsummit.com to go ahead and get your tickets. BLK, BIZSUMMIT.com. Little commercial, bring it back. But when we're saying that, right, there were people that said, well, we wanted to, we still believe in what you do, but because of our organization and these rules and regulations, we literally cannot give you money. So then we had a decision to make. Well, do we keep it Black, or do we change the name, or do we just say, listen, we know what we represent and maybe we don't have to say the name. This
Mhm.
year we chose to keep it Black Biz Summit because, in my opinion, I don't like to be bullied. That's not something that I was ever about.
Mhm.
I don't like somebody who is not qualified to make certain decisions, making certain decisions for me. So
Mhm.
I made the conscious decision through, discussion. It wasn't just like I'm just like, I'm an island, I'm gonna make
Right.
my own thing. But in discussion, Mr. Brown, our trusted advisors to say, no, this year it's necessary because there are so many things being stripped away from us, right?
Mhm.
So in doing that, then you had a choice to make. If I would have changed it, then maybe we would have got some additional funding that we ended up not getting that we were supposed to get. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it was just kind of making that decision to say, no, we're going to stand our ground, and this is what we're going to do, and we're still going to call it a Black Biz Summit.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about that whole thing of cohesion, and just saying, well, what should people do in order to think about the cohesion from one platform to another, then what are we really doing, because each platform does have its unique attributes to it, right? And I
Mhm.
have one friend who is, I love her to death as a friend, okay, love her to life. She is totally different person on one platform than she is on another one. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it was funny because I was just talking to my husband this morning. I was like, if she wasn't my friend, I'd probably go ahead and stop following her. And I'm just being honest, because of the content
Yeah.
that is being put out on one platform in comparison to another. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, if I didn't know this person, I wouldn't want to follow her over here. And then to me, that translates into the business, because obviously you're really both of those people, right?
Mhm.
And who
Mhm.
you really want to be is this person that's a little out of control on this platform. But on
Yes.
this one, you want to be business. So you want to be party over
Mm.
here, and then you want to be business over there. So that cohesion that you mentioned, how important is that, and what can people do to try to show who they are, but not be out of control?
So I think it's important to, and that's a big thing of creative direction, right? Like, so I'm a whole lot of things, right? Like, I'm no shame. I'm a huge anime nerd.
Oh,
You go to yes, I
okay,
have all the hoodies, all the like
okay.
so big. But I think it's a way you tell your story again, like and choosing what you want to share. Like a person can be into golf and also be into, pastels and rainbows and all of that. But
Mhm,
when you decide who your business is,
mhm,
then that's what you're putting forward. So, and again, just like I say with design, this is the point of creative direction. I can showcase anything a million different ways.
mhm,
So maybe there's a way to bring in a little bit of that spiciness or whatever you want to say, but it does not have to be like 100% all the way over here. Maybe it's just like, ooh, in my brand, I do know that I am a lot of different things. So there's a like a wiggle room, right? Like, maybe this content will be a little spicier and this or that. But when you go too far one way or the other, I think that's what goes into the confusion of people.
mhm,
And then you hit it like on the head when you said, like, if I didn't know her, right? Like, so and you have to remember like your prospects, right?
mhm,
They don't know you. Like, and so it's all good for the people that's your day ones, but for the people that you're trying to get and then keep,
mhm,
they need a more singular, compacted message that only goes a certain amount of rounds. Now, you got people signing up for your newsletter and like they die hards, right? You can
mhm,
show a bit more personality in there
mhm,
because they're used to it. They
mhm,
want to see more of it. But I think it's like you have to think about where people are at in your pipeline.
mhm,
So in the beginning, like they see a certain level of things, but the farther they go down your pipeline, they can see a little bit more of that range that you have in who you are.
mhm, mhm. Now, question, and you made me think of something. I have not watched it yet, but I've
Mhm.
only watched the previews. So Mariska Hargitay, who a lot of y'all know from Law and Order, bump bump. Y'all know the don't. Once the don't come in, then you got to watch the whole episode. I tell you, that's why I'm like, I can't even get into Law and Order like I used to, because then now you missed the season. Now you got to go back to all of the seasons. But
Yeah.
Mariska Hargitay, her mom was Jane Mansfield. She
Mhm.
has a like a biopic documentary kind of thing that is on now, on I think it's on HBO Max, right?
Mhm.
And Jane Mansfield was this blonde bombshell. Okay, she was out here. She had the little boobs together, little body together, everything, and she was known for that, right?
Mhm.
And this was kind of the thing where, I guess maybe back in the days, if you said, like, not necessarily saying the dumb blonde, because I'm not,
Mhm.
I don't like using that terminology, but I'm just going to use it because it's people understand it, right?
Mhm.
But the thing
Mhm.
is, Jane Mansfield played the piano and did all kinds of things that you didn't know about behind the scenes, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
she's just like Mariska, in the previews is saying, well, I was too young to really know that because of when
Mm-hmm.
she passed. And all of the kids, so it was her and her brother and sister, were in the car when her mother died. It was a car crash. She's in the back seat, but all of the kids survived, but the two people in the front, which was Jane and whoever else was driving, passed.
Oh man.
So in that happening, she was too young to really know her mother. But what
Mm-hmm.
she got was, so this is where I'm kind of tying it in, was what everybody saw about her mother, right? All of the big blonde bombshell kind of thing. And she was like, she didn't want to do that. So she went into the
Mm-hmm.
same field, right? The same acting field, but then she was serious about it. And I'm not trying to say Jane wasn't serious about it,
Sure.
but she was just like, I want to just be known for my acting. I don't want to just be known for my body or how I look, kind of thing. And Mariska's
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous, okay? Because I love me a Mariska Hargitay. That's right, Liv. You
Mm-hmm.
know that. So the thing about that is that you can still be smart. You can still have your interests. You can still love whatever it is that you love behind the scenes. So when you said you're an anime nerd, first of all, I love me a Star Trek, honey. Um, I do.
Yes.
Okay, because I swear I'm a Vulcan. Um, if you
I
could
love
make me
it.
any character, I would definitely be a Vulcan. Okay.
Oh, that's what's
Um,
up.
but then I also love Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we just had this humongous conversation. Why were we in talking for 30 minutes about who should be the next leader of the Avengers? And I went through
Mm-hmm.
every character that's still alive and gave
Mm-hmm.
reasons why they should be. And then, and then my husband is like, yeah, but that's not what it's going to be. And I'm just like, but it should be. Like, if you look at leadership characters and you look at, so we're going, and the thing is, first of all, they have me in this. I've been dealing with Marvel for over 20 years now. Like, I'm invested in it. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
But I am sitting here like, there's a brand that goes out, right? There's a messaging that goes out, and you can be all of those things. But back in the day, they limited themselves. They put themselves in boxes because that's what people wanted to see. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
drew people in. They did their
Mm-hmm.
stuff behind the scenes, but there was no social media. So for a
Mm-hmm.
person who's like, well, listen, and I just want to do this because there may be somebody on here that's like this.
Mm-hmm.
I am all of those things and I do want to showcase them. And I
Mm-hmm.
want those things to make me money. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people change from doing one thing to totally something different because they went for the thing that made them money. What would
Mm-hmm.
you say to that person who's like, listen, I want to find the thing that makes me money. And then I want you to brand that for me so that this way I can make that be the thing that is pulling in the dollars, the attention.
So, are you asking me what I would say about how they should go about that if they want to like pivot and be something completely different than
Mhm.
how they show up?
Or so yes to that, but or also like if they are disjointed, it's not cohesive
Mm,
right now.
mm,
So
mhm,
they
mhm,
want to show all of these things, but maybe they were scared on one platform, and that's why,
mhm.
and so it's like
Yeah.
it's a mess and we need to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So what I would say is the first thing I would do is I would take inventory of everything that they have out there, like, from wild to like every range. And then you ask them like, oh, I would ask them like, how did you feel? What was just like really connecting with you about what you did here and why and
Mhm.
all of that. And then what I specialize is what I call is like finding thread in the chaos, right? Because there is something, it's you, right? Like you underneath there's a thread of a story that then I would say, you have someone help you figure out where that thread is at. And then you start building pieces that allow you to still look this like maybe it's just like the way you do an opener or what you say at the end, or there's some kind of way to thread that story together.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think a lot of times what makes people look too disjointed, because like if you go on my Instagram, I'm not one of those that like I have a design style.
Mhm.
Like you'll see everything kind of looks. I personally, no shade to anybody, any designer that does that, but
Mhm.
I personally don't believe in that. I like to be able to showcase like whatever creative matches with you, that's the creative I'm going to give you. So if you go to my Instagram, it doesn't all look the same. And then I do have things up about anime. I do have things up about like baking and things that I love to do,
Uh-huh.
but it is also wrapped around my brand in a way that does not make it look or appear disjointed. Like the colors I use, the fonts I use, the way I shoot the video, or what
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
saying, my tone of voice when I'm speaking. So
Mhm.
you just have to find the thread of the story and then start laying pieces over it that ensure that people know it's still coming from the same person.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that that makes sense. But I think also if a person is just, as I like to call it, lost in the sauce, then that's when they need somebody like you know, that to
Yes.
bring it together because they just may not be able to see it. And I think for me, and this is just me personally, I can't speak for anybody else.
Mhm.
I am
Mhm.
usually really good at discerning, like in a way, what a person should do next. Not trying to tell them what to do, but where I
Mhm.
can see that they could go. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like
Yeah.
if you have a really good story and let's say it's a weight loss journey, or let's say it's a you're a mom and the kids are leaving out of the house kind of thing. I mean, just just giving like some
Mhm.
examples. And you want to
Mhm.
tie that into business based on me listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, you would be so great doing such and such. And then usually
Mhm.
people are like, what? You think so? Like, I never saw myself like that. And I promise
Mhm.
you, I mean, I'm just gonna say probably 8.5. Yeah, a good 8.5 out of 10 within a year or two, that person is doing that thing. Because
Mm.
sometimes you just needed somebody to speak that into you to see what you could
Yeah.
do. And sometimes
Yeah.
the technology changes, your time constraints change, or my
Yeah.
favorite C word outside of Chisa is capacity changes. And now you
Oh,
can see where you
yeah.
can add some things in. So for
Yeah.
me, I'm just like, I'm listening to you and I see where this could go. But then that
Mhm.
means you need to do these things before we get there in order to kind of pull that money in. So, can you please show them your business card? Okay. I
Yes.
want y'all to see
Yes.
how cute this thing is. Look, look at this. Look at this little cute business card. It's a little cookie with a little bite out of it, right? So when she showed me this business card, I was like, hmm, I might need to get some little cutout design business cards. And I think that just sometimes as we evolve, we are going to spend more on things that hopefully make us happy, but also
Mhm.
things that make us money. So,
Mhm.
how does your business card draw people in to make a decision
Oh.
on like, oh, I should be a client? First of all, you have this. Oh, I would love something like this for me. And I think that
Mhm.
that was the initial thing where I'm just like, okay, you can have the same things. And we do squares most of the time. I don't know why.
Mhm.
I love a square and a circle. Those are my two things. But instead of having the regular business card, most of the time I make everything a square. And then
Mhm.
what I decided to do for us was depending on, because I don't print out a whole bunch of cards, but
Sure.
one standard thing, and then it'll have the information on one side with a little QR code, so I don't have to change that. And the other side
Mhm.
is usually like an advertisement for something that we have coming up. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
multitask it because most of
Mhm.
the time, what I'm going to tell people is I'm not going to have business cards because hold up.
Mhm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my link. Uh-oh, hold up. Showing y'all the wrong thing. I'm going to have my link where you can scan the QR code
Mhm.
to see where the lighting is at, but where you can scan the QR code. So I'm usually not going to have a business card. But how
Right.
does yours? I don't know you. I've never met you, but I hand you this business card. How does that help you translate into dollars for you?
So for me, of course, being a designer and a creative director, it's like the most physical thing. Like it's like a little like cherry on top of me really like explaining how I'm telling a story. So I'm in my marketing for myself, I'm also educating on how I tell stories.
Mhm.
So the business card is really like, because I mean, yeah, people have digital business cards and everything like that now, but people do not forget when they've seen this. It's like, oh my God, it's so cute. Like it's I want a little cookie. Like even if they don't need design
They
work,
don't
they
need a cookie, but they need a cookie.
for me. Yeah. People come up and say, I just want a cookie. Like, so
Mhm,
if I can I'm staying in top of mind like that. Like
mhm,
even if you don't really realize kind of what I do, because designer is a very broad subject now, but
mhm,
you're remembering what you saw and what I gave you. And now, I can hope that that then leads you to looking more into me. So
mhm,
that's where I see is like that little bit of a like a little joyful thing that it's like, oh, I
mhm,
didn't expect that, but
mhm.
now look. And then you get people to thinking about, oh, well, her name is Milk and Cookies Creative. Like a lot of people, it's like Patrice Kelly Design. Oh, well, I'm sorry, that's my married name. Gotta get used to it. Patrice Adams Design. And I didn't want to do that, even though I do understand the value and the power of having your name behind your company. But to me, it was like this lasting impression. Like I always get the Bernie Mac milk and cookies. Like I get that. I get that.
Yes.
And then it's also like it's opening up what I like to call from one of my other coworkers back in the day, a curiosity loop, right? So
Mm.
it's opening up a curiosity loop. Now, why are you called Milk and Cookies Creative? What's that about?
Now
So
that is the next question. So you just can go ahead and ask that because
yes,
I knew that we were naturally going to progress to that, but just answer that in here with our curiosity loop.
yeah. So I love me some chocolate chip cookies. Okay, like that is my thing.
Okay.
Um, so I love that. And also what I when I talk about design, I really like to pair up people
Uh-huh.
with the right creative for them. So when I came across, I was like, I like to pair people up because I don't that then goes back to what my story is. Again, why you won't see me with one style. Why? Because I am choosing the creative based on how we need to tell your visual story. So then
Mhm.
I got started thinking about, well, how can I showcase that bit of the story in a way where people kind of understand that they're not going to see the same thing out of me all the time?
Uh-huh.
And then I said, oh, pairings. And so then I went down, the peanut butter and jelly
Mhm.
and the pie and ice cream. And then I
Mhm.
landed on cookies and milk. I was like, oh my God, that's it. So
Yeah.
that's so and that is like that thought process of like thinking 2-3 steps removed from your
Mhm.
initial idea. That's why I
Mhm.
talk, because your initial idea, I guarantee you everybody else had it. So
Mm.
you have to think 2-3 steps beyond that. Even for me, like when you work with me, that's why I say, at some point in time, work with a professional creative because they will push you, they will challenge you, and I guarantee you it will pay off, right? But
Mhm.
push out into the wild and crazy. That's what I do. And then
Mhm.
what you do is when you know the lane they're in, because I know the business you're in, I know what you're trying to do, the products, the services, whatever. Then what I do is I mold that back into safety. So once I've thought so far out in the wild and crazy,
Mhm.
then I know I'm still going to be a couple steps removed from what everybody else in your industry is doing because I already thought way outside.
Mhm.
So that's how I
Mm.
like take that is like, okay, I know that I want to showcase through my business name and things like that. I want to showcase how you can be different and how you can tell a story and how you don't have to have something designs on the end. And so that's how I got to Milk and Cookies.
I love learning about people's names because I think, and I'm going to say this is not a racist thing at all, but white women come up with the best names that are nothing that makes sense. And I'm saying it from a like and I want you to see like a comparison contrast. I
Mm-hmm.
think typically black people and specifically black women, we go with things that are real and factual for us, and we know that our community gets it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And white women will be like, oh, this is fairies and pillows. And I'm just like, what? And it's like, well, I just like fairies and pillows. And now it's $1 million company. And it's like, what do you sell?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, we sell soup. What does fairies and pillows have to do with soup? And I'm saying this respectfully. I want you to understand. But I think that it seems to me that specifically, and I'm going specifically with white women, tend to be a lot more whimsical and not always based and rooted in just what it is. Like their name seems to be a lot more malleable for randomosity and whatever else could happen. And
if they change directions, it's like
because it's so random that it's like we had to tell you what it meant anyway. Whereas with us, I think we are more like, no, we want you to know what this thing is, and we want you to understand that. So for me, like when I looked at Give It to the People, we were using that originally as a tagline. And then we turned it into the podcast, and then it turned into the business. But the biggest thing was I always wanted to, and you've alluded to this too, I always wanted to make people feel a certain way. So when people say give it to the people, and it's just like, well, what do you do? It's in the name. That's what we do, is give it to the people. So for me, that portion was the part that was malleable, because what is the it on any particular day? It could be that today we're giving you a live stream, you know what I'm saying? And we're talking with the fabulous Patrice Adams of Milk and Cookies Creative. But it could be that tomorrow, we're moderating a panel somewhere. It could be the next day we're doing a summit. It could be, but the it was always going to be something that was there and that was for the people. And even though I don't feel like my name is as whimsical as that, but I felt like it was supposed to be a feeling, and it was supposed to be a call to action and a directive. So I've always been very adamant about what's been said and what it means and how it makes you feel. And so for me, that was always an important factor. Now I want to touch on this just briefly. There's always somebody who wants to use a religious aspect to their business. Have you encountered any issues with trying to get them to see maybe a broader audience, or maybe they only wanted to focus on a specific audience and that was the perfect thing for them? And I'm more so looking at that based on what do people sell. So the same way that I'm saying this could be a random thing over here, sometimes the religious aspect is limiting, and sometimes it's completely perfect for who your audience is.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of nailed it right there. I think what I would say is this is why you don't just think about what you're trying to do today. You're thinking about so when I give people a brain questionnaire, I say, where do you see yourself? Where are you trying to go? Because then if I know, like right now, this is a real, so I'll say I'm working with, I'm branding someone now who her primary like target audience is 5 to 8 year olds. She has like a majorette. She's doing like a majorette studio thing, but she also wants to grow to also include adults and things like that. So they're right there. So to kind of like make it more general, right? So it's like, what I would do if she wanted to only keep it for kids is different than what I'm going to do to encompass where she's at now and where she wants to go. So I think, again, it just, I know I keep saying it, but it all kind of goes back to the story you're trying to say, who you are now, who you're trying to be, and really giving that information is really what helps build a brand that grows with you instead of kind of feel stagnant in like where you are right now.
Okay. And I mean, that's a great answer, because I mean, I type that and think about where you're at now, but where you want to go. And this is why I always tell people, don't typically think about words that are just trendy right now, because it may not be the thing. Like, remember when everybody wanted to be on fleek? If I see your business and your business is still called On Fleek right now, I'm going to question why you haven't changed your name. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to question that, because let me tell you something. Oh no, go ahead. Because I just watched something before we did this, and I was thinking to myself, is that really what you wanted to call this? Nobody questioned it, but I want you to tell that, and then I'm gonna throw it out there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that that's another thing that I see with my beloved black businesses is their logos. I can spot a black logo from a mile away. Like it just it has the same characteristics. A lot of times it uses like a script font, is some watercolor. It's like the same. It's the same kind of things that are put together.
Mhm.
And so I think, and now, like, if it works for you and that's what you have, and like, no shade to that. I'm just saying, like, some people don't realize, like, I looked at a baker's website the other day. Her logo looked almost exactly like this catering logo. So it's like they picked it from the same, and it wasn't like some like I don't even want to say any copyright infringement. It's just like the same kind of thing. Like it's like it was picked from this same box of things. So it's just like
Mhm.
so the same thing like with the names. It's just like I think that sometimes we as black business owners we start with like you said, we don't think about where we're trying to go. I've talked to some people that it's like, well, maybe in the lane you started in where you only wanted to talk to black business, and now you want to kind of like get out there, or the corporations you want to talk to fund, like they don't need to see you as black as you are now portraying. So you need to portray something different. And it's like, okay, we have to think about that. So now you need to think about your naming system. You need to think about the colors you use, the fonts you use, and how indigenous, I'll just say, are they to just the culture? Because if you're trying to open doors and step into different rooms, they're not going to understand that. And you don't have, I mean, I'm just saying you don't have to do that. It's just, is that where you're trying to go? If it is, I need to have a hard conversation with you,
Mhm.
you
And then
know?
you also need to be willing to receive the hard conversation that is going to be there. But you do have some
Woo!
people that don't want to, that
Yeah.
don't want to, that don't want to change. And so if that's the case, they may not be the type of client for you. And then that's something that you need to be willing to walk away from. But I'm going to say this name and I want you to tell me what you think of. So this is, we've never done this before, but I'm going to throw it out there. If I gave you the name, building the band.
A music competition or
Okay,
a
it is.
okay.
Is there anything that you think of when you, the first thing I thought of when I heard building the band? I was just like, why did they let her name it that? Now, it has the bees in it, so that makes sense. It is what you're doing. But as soon as I heard that, now I'm gonna tell you where it came from. I'm watching The View. I never watched The View. This morning I was just like, let me just turn on something. I needed some, and Nicole Scherzinger was on. And she
Mm-hmm.
has this new competition. It's called Building the Band. But the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I thought about was making the band with Diddy. And I was thinking to myself, nobody thought that they, in this climate, nobody thought that they should use. And I said, you know what? Maybe they felt like making the band was like so far ago that nobody would attach it to that. But you were in the Pussycat Dolls, one of the biggest groups, for females back in the day. And nobody thought that you should not call this building the band. Like there were a lot of different names that you could have made it. And I pretty much think it was just like, well, remember when Diddy had making the band? And so now building, and now mind you, theirs is about musicians, not necessarily just singing and dancing or rapping, but it's still in the same context. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
you could have used something different.
Yeah. So we actually watched that episode like last night
Oh, okay.
or
See, I
so.
haven't seen it. Okay.
Yes, yes. So my daughter and my husband are just all into it.
Hmm.
But that when they first told me about it, so it's interesting you said that because when they first said building the band, that is what I thought about.
Hmm.
But I thought they were talking about watching the old thing and maybe they just didn't get the name right. So that is interesting
Hmm.
because as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah.
And I'm just like, because I wouldn't personally even want anybody to associate it with what's happening right now.
Right,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So it was like
Seriously.
sometimes that was, now mind you, we're talking about however many years ago when that happened, but
Yeah.
those things still do linger. And then the
Mhm.
even the comparison to it, I wouldn't even want that.
Yeah, it's
And I
real
know she
close.
knows. I know she knows about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I'm
Yeah.
sure she's been to a Diddy party.
Yeah.
So and I'm not even saying that kind of Diddy party. I'm just saying in general, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
for sure.
she was, huge. And I've seen, pictures and stuff. So it's kind of like just think about things like that and the association in the words, because, one of the things that I had, and I use this example, and I know we're getting ready to, close up, but somebody was saying, oh, well, it was a good idea to call their company something, something trans, right? And I
Mhm.
was like, well, it was a transportation company. So what they were doing was shortening the word transportation. And I said, well, it's nothing wrong with that, except for now, when you say trans, a person might think
Mhm.
something different. And if that's not what you're thinking about, then you may need to adjust
Yeah.
that, because there could be a contract issue where a person doesn't want to do business with you. I said, but
Yeah.
let me tell you something. One of my best friends, well, actually my best friend in life that passed was trans, right?
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
that was my baby, but we're not gonna get into that, because then I start getting
Oh,
emotional and
no.
crying, right? So my pud, Daisha Dawson, was trans. Now I said, now if you were trans and had a transportation company, oh my God,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the levels of that would
Yeah.
be so fabulous. And I was
Yes.
just like, that would be so dope. But I just need people to understand that words do matter. And I
Oh,
love
yes.
how you then tied in the visual is speaking for you when you're not speaking. So
Mhm.
a lot of times, the one thing I want to leave people with when we talk about the money, people don't read all the content.
Oh, Lord, we could have a whole new podcast
We should
just
have a
on
whole
that,
another one
dude.
on just that. They don't read all the content. Like, we spend so much time on the content and getting the words right. And it's like,
Yes.
I have the acronym WILL. What it look like? Because that's what they see first. What it look like.
Yes.
Okay, which I know is not grammatically correct, but don't worry about that.
Oh,
What it look
no,
like.
it's fine.
And that's why you're important. And what you do
That
is important.
Yeah, that's why it's so visual hierarchy. Like I will talk to I'm blue in the face with people about that. Like, like so especially with website copy, because people want to put the most words on their website page. So it's like visual hierarchy is a thing. So you will always see that when I design anything, flyers, anything like that, you really have to keep in mind, like you said, how people read. So you want to adjust for the people that's going to read everything on that flyer, that website, they're going to read it all anyway. So you need to pull out your important things. So if somebody is only going to look at the headline, the subhead, and them 3 bullet points that with just the header and the contact info, that it needs to be pulled out in a way in the design and text so that they can very easily do that. Because then you also have those people that are going to skim and then read it if they like what they skimmed. So that is all. I remember in school they would teach us, like, this was back before web and all that, but in a flyer, like, you would have to hold your paper backside and then you flip it down and flip it up real quick, and the first things you saw, they better be the most important things. So
Mm,
like that was like a test for, like, are you really getting the most important pertinent information out there,
mhm.
and really being able to showcase again how important is what. Because I could talk about a design all day, right? But not everybody is going to feel this as important as me. So I've got to figure out a way to shorten it up, to make it humorous, to, make it serious in places and then funny in other places, so that people are engaged enough to want to hear all the other info that I have in my head that's going to make
Mhm.
them, money, or, success, or grab that person's attention. So you kind of got to think of it like that, like
Yep.
nuggetize the information.
Uh, Let me type nuggetize in. Y'all were not ready for nuggetize, because I was not. I'm about to type nuggetize in. have to nuggetize the information. Look, I want
You
them
making up words right here.
no nuggetize. I don't even know if you know how much I love nuggetize right now. Listen, I mean, and that's for real. I love the idea of the flip the thing back and just see. And I think that for me, what I've been trying to do is realizing that I don't want to do things like everybody else, but at the same time, I also want things to be easy for people to digest, because if it is, then okay. So, like, I've been playing around with, if I do a video and I don't put any words on top of it, and let's see what that does, as opposed to I put the words on top and then I see what a video does, which one is going to be a little bit more appealing to people. And so what I've been doing was like, okay, let me make a 30-second video, but then let me make a minute and some change, or 3 minutes, or till I feel like I'm finished with it, because people will pay attention. And no matter what, the videos have been working. And I'm not saying that the content hasn't been working, but sometimes people just want to watch something really quickly, and they want to see what's going on. So just playing around with that, and I think that that's made a huge difference in it. And then still pulling them in and telling them to pay attention to the content, whether it's written or whether it's a graphic or whatever. And for me, that's been good. So I want people to make sure that they can go to your site. So if you guys see right there, Milk and Cookies Creative. And then what I'm going to do is I want to show you, just to give you an idea, because, the thing is, we've been talking about it, but we may say, okay, well, what is she talking about? Like, let me physically see. So I want to just share the screen really quickly, so that this way you guys can get an idea of, what she's talking about when we talk about just the visual interest. And I love the way that the site is designed. So if you guys see on the screen, just giving you something that doesn't look like everybody else's. Uh-oh, hold up. I messed up. What happened to my site? Oh, goodness. Enter. Get it. Okay, something's wrong. I had it up.
It was up.
Yeah, what in the world are you doing over here, buddy? Get on over there. Okay, there we go. Because I'm like, I know I had it. Okay, so you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So when you go down, she's saying not a lot of words, but enough for you to understand. Milk and Cookies, okay, and then just going down and giving you an idea. But do you see, like, when she's talking about the cohesiveness, you see she's got on her pink in the background. She's got a lot of color, which I also love, right? But then just giving some examples of some different things that she's, worked with, and giving you something that's fun, that's bubbly, that's, just kind of giving you what you need to see in small bites, if you will. And I think that to me is something that kind of goes in a direction that allows people to really kind of, dig in and see, like, what they've done and how those things have made things work. And I would say some awesome stuff has definitely been out there. So I'm going to go over here to the branding work just so you guys can see. And of course, the website's on the screen, so you can go ahead and you can check that out. But when you look at some of the things that are here, it does make a huge difference. And I would say, if you're looking for somebody to do that for you, then definitely check it out and go over to Milk and Cookies Creative and, check out and see what's going on over there. Well, I want to thank you, number one, because you have been an amazing, amazing guest today. And I do want to, hold up, I need to make a change really quickly, because what I want to do is I want to show you guys something, so that this way you'll also, but I need to fast really quickly. And I don't want to show you too much. So we are having so many great things. Now I'm hoping, Patrice, you can make it, but if you can't, one of the things that we are doing, and I need to stop sharing that screen and share a different one. So boop, give me 1 second, everybody, is first of all, we are having the Black Biz Summit, and that will be on August 1st. But if you want to come out, this is not necessarily a branding thing, but we are going to be doing an event called LinkedIn Local. That's going to be at the Durham County Library, downtown Durham. And this will help you to connect with other business owners. So the part that is similar to what she's talking about is will help you to do a little bit of that sprucing up of your LinkedIn when you get to this event. And so this month of August, pardon me, month of August, we're doing Black Biz Month. So we're going to have plenty of events that we're doing, but also things that we're supporting throughout the month. And we definitely want you guys to be able to come out to those things. So that's something that we're doing August 16th. And it is going to be on the rooftop from 10 until 12. And I'm saying God willing, as long as the weather's good. But if the weather's not good, we'll be inside. But we'll have a couple little sips and bites. And of course, we'll take pictures and things like that because, you know, that's a part of our brand. But I want you guys to be able to have experiences that you can come out to. And so being a part of the membership means being able to engage with people in real life and really be in the ecosystem. And so today we have been in the ecosystem together to be able to give you all of this great advice. So if you want to leave people with one other thing, is there anything you want to leave them with?
So I just say, you know, really be in tune with who you are and telling your story your way, and remembering that people connect with who you are well before they connect with what you're giving them.
Oh, okay. So listen, I mean, you know, all of these great, I like to call them little chocolates all the time, but since she is nuggetized today, she's giving all the nuggetizations that you need. I hope you've been nuggetized. And I mean, to me, this is exactly why we created the membership, because there are great people out there that need to share what they do. And sometimes, you know, what she's doing with the designing, you don't necessarily know the person that's behind the brand, right? Like you just know what you see and you like it. And it's like, oh, okay. But you may not know the designer. But if you need somebody to design some stuff, then I would strongly suggest go to her website, check that out, and make sure that, again, at the end, you always show up and show out and you continue to give it to the people. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope that I'll see you guys on August 1st at the Black Biz Summit. And if you have not joined the membership yet, go to giveitgetit.biz and join, because we're going to be sending out another I had to type it in. When I'm talking, sometimes my mind doesn't work. It does, or it works too fast, or it pauses. One of the two of those things happen. So, you know, go ahead and join. And then this way you'll get all of our goodies that we put out, because we have some new stuff that we're going to be putting out probably tomorrow about some grants and some things that are coming up. But you only get that if you're in the membership. We don't post that in the publics. Okay. This is just behind the scenes. So, you know, it gives you some opportunities for some things that are coming up to, you know, help grow your business. All right. Well, Patrice, thank you so much. Everybody else, thank you so much for staying on. And Patrice, just stay on real quick afterwards. So you guys have a great day. Show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys.
Bye.